Hi.
Hello there. We wanted to, excuse me, do a complete coverage of the finished mystery. Can't guarantee we'll cover every page of it. Some of it's pretty tedious, but in the past we've only covered scattered portions of the book because of needs that have come up over the last 2 years. But we realize as time goes on and more people say, can I find a copy of the finished mystery? It's an extremely rare book and therefore very expensive if you find a copy. And they're usually not in very good shape. My edition is falling apart. So to do a public service, we thought we would do what we did with the Ray Franz book 3 years back. It took a year to do it, but it was a good project to cover the entire second book of Ray Franz, In Search of Christian Freedom.
And I think many people don't realize how much is in this book. The content of the book will be a service to anyone who's considering the history of the Watchtower.
Why is it a service? Because it by itself can explode the trust, blow up the faith of anyone in the Watchtower as any kind of dependable source of interpretation of the
Because
Bible.
when the Watchtower refers to it, and they still do refer to it, it's usually to brag about it as being a sure proof that God was using them and chose them over everyone else at that time. So I think if you knew the content, though, you couldn't do that bragging.
You sure couldn't. So if any book is going to lead you out of the Watchtower, this is the book to start with. If you want to get your relatives and your friends to think twice about whether God has been using them since 1914, this is the book that will probably do maximum damage.
Yeah, it certainly did with me.
So we'll start with the title page, Studies in the Scriptures, and right under that first heading, which is of course the name of the entire 7 volumes, only 6 of which were actually written by Russell, but right under Studies in the Scriptures, before Finished Mystery, Series 7, they say, the path of the just is as the shining light which shineth more and more unto the perfect day. And that, of course, begs the question of whether they thought at that time they had that maximum light yet. And the book proves that they did. That's why they titled the book The Finished Mystery, because they were confident that this was the most accurate light ever on the book of Revelation. Not only Revelation, but the Song of Solomon and the book of Ezekiel.
Now that text is very familiar to us if we're witnesses, because they still use it.
Yeah.
Proverbs 4:18.
And
the light gets greater and greater.
But what's the problem? It's a perversion of the intent. If you read Proverbs 4:18 in context, you realize it's not talking about prophetic light at all.
No.
It's talking about the path of the righteous.
Yeah. Your life walk.
And in this book, they present the evidence that they do believe they're living in the perfect day of light, because they predict boldly that in 1918 the churches will come to the works of Pastor Russell, because the churches will be destroyed wholesale, and their members by the millions. So they know that within a year, they, as well as Pastor Russell, who just died the year before, are going to be vindicated. So everyone will know by 1918 who had the truth and the light, who has the finished mystery figured out. Then right under the title, The Finished Mystery, they have the winepress of God's wrath and the fall of Babylon. So again, emphasizing the fall of Babylon is imminent. God's wrath is imminent upon the churches and Babylon the Great. But of course they're diluted, because how many times have they replaced these commentaries on Revelation and Ezekiel?
Yeah, at least 5 new Revelation commentaries and 5 more Ezekiel ones since then.
So here's on the first page, they have in tiny print.
So I have my magnifier here. I will read you the tiny print scriptures.
And it's from what scriptures?
Revelation 10:5-7 and Habakkuk 2:3. So first Revelation. The angel which I saw stand upon the sea and upon the earth lifted up his hand to heaven, and sware by him that liveth for ever and ever, who created heaven and the things therein are, and the earth and the things that therein are, and the sea and the things which are therein, that the time should be no longer delayed, but in the days of the voice of the seventh angel, when he shall begin to sound, the mystery of God should be finished, as he hath declared to his servants the prophets. And then the Habakkuk 2:3, at the time it shall speak and not lie. Oh, at the end it shall speak and not lie. Even with a magnifier, I'm not good.
You're in trouble?
Yeah. But I think some of these phrases, if you've read The Finished Mystery, you know that they believe the voice of the seventh angel is Pastor Russell.
Yeah. So no longer delayed. I mean, the reason they're picking this text is because they believe they're on the edge of Armageddon.
It's here and now.
And they do believe also that at the end it shall speak and not lie. There's no chance that Pastor Russell is going to be proven wrong. He is the faithful and discreet slave because we're in the Laodicean age.
Yeah, even the last part of the Revelation one, he hath declared to his servants the prophets. They view it themselves that way.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And on the flip side of the title page, here it is, you have this large circle at the top.
Which is a dedication, right?
It's a dedication in the interest of his consecrated saints waiting for the adoption, which they thought, by the way, was already happening, that the saints were going to heaven after 1881, 1878, 1881. They believe the saints, as they die, are going immediately to heaven. Of course, they've scrapped that belief too. But the dedication, interestingly, is to the King of Kings and Lord of Lords. Well, that sounds good. Mm-hmm. So this book is dedicated to Jesus Christ, not to Jehovah. Mm-hmm. But then underneath that, posthumous work of Pastor Russell, his last legacy to the dear Israel of God. And of course, to us that sounds a little spooky because they now believe Russell was gone.
And
non-existent.
They think he's helping them beyond the veil.
Beyond the veil, yeah. Mm-hmm. Then we have another text, Ephesians 3, 2, 3, a few verses from Ephesians here, which I can't read.
I will read it again. Okay. To make all see what is the fellowship of the mystery, which from the beginning of the world hath been hid in God, wherein he hath abounded toward us in all wisdom and prudence, having made known to us the mystery of his will, according to his good pleasure, which he hath purposed in himself, that in the dispensation of the fullness of the times he might gather together in one all things under Christ. That was Ephesians 3, 4, 5, and 9, and Ephesians 1, 8 to 10.
So again, who's the fellowship of the mystery? We are. Mm-hmm. We're the only ones because we have trusted Pastor Russell's interpretations of the Bible. Mm-hmm. That's why the work is called the posthumous work of Pastor Russell, because they've gathered together all his thoughts over the decades since he was a very young man about the mystery being finished in this generation. Mm-hmm. 1918 not being the beginning of the end in those days, but the end of the end. Mm-hmm. And then you wanted to make a note too that although they've got International Bible Students Association on the first side of the title page, on the second side they've got Copyright 1917 People's Pulpit Association.
Yeah, mine has that as well. Yeah.
And over the years, there's some fudging as to, okay, what's the relationship between the People's Pulpit Association and the Watchtower? Mm-hmm. And the fudging involves shifting of blame sometimes, specifically for this book. And it's the cult that they admit sometimes was created among his followers, but they don't blame themselves. Yeah. It's the fault of the People's Pulpit Association.
Which is them.
Yeah. And then the publisher's preface.
Yeah.
So we wanted to read the first 3 paragraphs of the preface for you.
So I'll read the first 2 paragraphs. Since the days of the apostles, Christian people have been looking for the coming of our Lord Jesus in great power and glory. For he said that he would come again and receive his church unto himself. He further pointed out that for some time prior to the completion of the church, he would be present gathering out from Babylon and from the world the truly consecrated, and during his presence the mystery of God would be fulfilled. Through St. John, the Lord Jesus revealed the fact that the church would be developed during 7 distinct periods or epochs, and that for each of these epochs he would have a special angel or messenger to serve the other members of the body. It follows then that the messenger to the last or Laodicean epoch would declare the presence of the Lord and the time of the harvest of the golden age.
The gospel age.
Oh, yeah, I said golden. I'm thinking movies, I guess. No, gospel age. The great master laid special emphasis on the importance of the messenger of the 7th or Laodicean period of the church, saying that such as an one would be a faithful and wise servant, whom his Lord would make ruler over all his household, to give them meat in due season.
Those consecrated Christians who have read and fully appreciated the truth, and here truth, by the way, is capitalized,
Yeah.
the truth as contained in the preceding 6 volumes of studies in the Scriptures, readily see and agree that Charles Taze Russell was the messenger of the Church of Laodicea. In the mind of everyone who believes the Bible, the evidence set forth in this volume will establish that fact beyond the question of a doubt.
Yeah. Most of these things have been scrapped by the witnesses already. The epics.
The 7 ages of the church, or the 7 churches of chapters 2 and 3, that's gone.
Yeah.
The idea that we're already in the time of his invisible presence, the parousia, although they still cling to the concept, they've scrapped the date. In those days it was the invisible presence from 1874.
Yeah.
And from that you get the idea that, well, we need this special angel. And who is he?
And they think it's Pastor Russell.
And then to connect that concept of the special angel with the prophecy as they see it, as of the faithful and discreet slave, which we know is not a prophecy anyway, it's a question.
But they still believe that concept, but now it's been shifted to the 8 men in Brooklyn.
So in effect, they are the special angel of the age of Laodicea, the last days. They don't call it age of Laodicea anymore. They just call it the last days.
Yeah.
So all of this has been changed, but the concepts that kill you are still there.
Yeah. It's a domino effect of starting with the wrong idea and then just keep adding to that first wrong idea
Yeah.
as further proofs of your first wrong idea.
Several wrong ideas. So you've got the 1799 last days, as they believed it then, and then the 1874 invisible presence. You're in the millennium from 1872. Then you've got the Revelation 2 and 3 are a prophecy of the Laodicean age. Then you go looking for the special angel.
Yeah.
You can see how tangled it was, and it's actually simpler now because the only date they're clinging to, of course, is the 1914, and even the significance of that has been altered.
Completely, yeah.
So we're going to, of course, press on. I must admit this is very motivating, right? To read
Turns
this.
my stomach when I read it. But that was part of my leaving, was reading this book.
Yeah.
And it bothered me then. And I'm hoping that if people hear what it says, it will bother them.
You're not going to like what's in this book. If you're a person who loves the truth, you will not like what's in this book, and that's good.
Yeah.
With you and many others, it's been a shock treatment. Like, this is really what you think Christ was using to evaluate his people in 1918-19.
And if you need to break your confidence in the Watchtower as having anything to do with God's leadings, I think this book is the one you need. So we were going to link. We were going to link to a video that you kind of referred to the idea anyways. Finished Mystery predicts that in 1918, God destroys the churches wholesale. Our Jehovah's Witnesses told this. So we'll link that one, plus the playlist to the 41 videos we've already done on the finished mystery.
Is it 41? I know it's in the dozens anyway.
41 currently.
Currently in a finished mystery, scattered commentary from the Ezekiel and Revelation
other
playlist,
things,
but
yeah.
they're brought together in a finished mystery list.
Yeah.
Good. See you soon.